Hey guys, this is Courtney, and today I wanted to give an announcement that I am going to be rebranding my channel name and my whole brand, website, all of that to Cosmic Clarity Astrology. So make sure that you guys go ahead and write that down, save that information in case you ever do search for my channel and can't find it no longer under this name. So today's video, we're going to be talking about the Jupiter Uranus Conjunction, and that's happening on April 20th in the sign of Taurus at 21 degrees. This is a rare transit that happens around roughly every 14 years, and it is one of the most significant events that's happening in 2024 that astrologers are looking forward to. This is really exciting because both Jupiter and Uranus can have positive energies. Jupiter especially. Uranus is a little bit of a wild card. So when they come together, these slow planets that really do affect kind of the way our society functions, when they finally come together and unite, they almost have a little rendezvous and give us the potential to have some kind of breakthrough or timeline jump essentially in this lifetime. So I see this almost as like a quantum leap, a breakthrough, a time of hope and prosperity and progress and reinvention or simply invention into something new. And so this is a really exciting time. And we're going to go over what this is going to look like for all of the rising signs. What I'm getting or what I'm going to be predicting for you guys is what you're going to be blessed with or what the breakthrough is going to be for you happening in April. It's very likely that we're already starting to kind of feel some of these energies shifting and these storylines lining up so that throughout the month of April, this energy becomes more obvious, more potent. And you might see something significant happen in the month of April, especially if you have any angles, most likely the angular houses. So like the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th house cusps around 21 degrees. Or if you have especially Taurus 21 degrees, which is where this is happening, or the fixed signs, which is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, you're going to feel this really significantly. And then you'll also still feel it if you have that also. Planets also around 21 degrees of earth or water signs. So those are who it's going to be really impacting the most. If it's not hitting anything in your chart at all, then maybe you won't really get a huge jolt or a huge breakthrough. Maybe you're doing just fine, or maybe it's just not your time for that. And then others are going to notice a really significant shift. But as a society, as a whole, we can start to see things progress, but it's usually something that we can most clearly see retroactively. So once we've kind of passed this point in time, years later, we can look back and see, oh, that is a turning point for us. That was marking this time in history, or there was some sort of advancement that was heralding a new chapter into our lives as a collective or even in our personal lives. So it's a really, really exciting time. Jupiter is the great benefic. It's the bringer of blessings and children and abundance, and it's a very social planet as well. So it has sorry, I just saw my cat walk outside. So it has a lot of potential to bring in new relationships and connections and opportunities. And then Uranus is a planet of innovation, of progress, a little bit of rebellion as well, change, surprise, technology. And both of them tend to bring a lot of clarity, a lot of wisdom, and the potential for great healing. So I'm excited to see how this can impact us on a more personal scale. But before we do that or talk about each sign, we're going to jump into first discussing what this has looked like in the past, and then maybe get like a really quick overview of what this could look like for the collective. So the last time Jupiter and Uranus came together was in January 2001, really early in January. So it's really something that you would have felt in December and the first week of January. So these planets came together in the sign of Pisces. And during this period of time, we had SpaceX become the first privately owned company to launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft. So this is extremely Uranian, and obviously Jupiter is also about things progressing and moving forward, more so from a place of personal growth, societal growth, internal expansion as well as spiritual expansion. But and also Jupiter has a very strong link with things that are foreign. So bringing various elements together, and Uranus also has this type of quality where we are kind of bridging different types of maybe technologies or fields and kind of melding them together and creating something new and unique. And so we can see a lot of unique advancements through the coming together of these two planets. So we could see here that obviously this had a lot to deal with things progressing in terms of leaving this world, which I love that because it feels very kind of Aquarian and Pisces in nature, that there's a technological advancement that quite literally has us leave Earth, which I think is super cool. Also during this Jupiter Uranus conjunction in 2011, we had Obama repeal a policy that banned people who are gay from openly saying they were gay or joining the military under that pretense or something of that nature. So I'm probably not wording that correctly, but I think you guys know what I'm saying. So obviously this is very much a Piscean theme and also Aquarius. We can really see the blend of the two because Uranus is there, but we can really see how people who were previously considered underdogs are getting some kind of breakthrough. And that's common with Jupiter and Uranus. We can see reversals of roles and fortunes. So people, especially who were winning and who had the upper hand, but who were not good or it was outdated or it was wrong, we can see those things start to have a little bit of a shift happen with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And I think that's really even more emphasized because Pluto being in the sign of Aquarius, the sign of the people, we are really in an age or an era where the emphasis is on the collective and the individual, the layperson, and not the governmental forces. And so it's a time of empowering each person and fighting for our own unique rights. And so we can start to see how maybe some power can shift into the hands of the people, especially healers, because Jupiter and Uranus together are both very spiritual planets. And so not only are we more adept at healing things that we might be stuck in terms of cyclical patterns and things that have been just feeling like we cannot get out of them. Uranus and Jupiter together can really, again, jump this timeline. It can get us out of some cycle of suffering. It can help us see things from a higher perspective, give us solutions to existing problems. It can give us this higher level awareness that our human brain doesn't have access to on an ordinary level or on an ordinary day. So it's really an opportunity for us to open up to extra senses. We might feel quite literally more sensitive during this time, and the information that comes to us should really be noted because it is significant for the path forward. The previous time that Jupiter and Uranus came together in the same sign as Taurus was in May of 1941, and during this period of time was kind of in the middle of World War II. Nazi Germany was at its height. There was a lot going on in terms of violence and oppression. And during this period of time, May in particular, the British, I don't know what you would call them, government, elected Winston Churchill. And he became the person who a few years later finally led to the demise of the war and of the Axis powers and Nazi Germany in 1945. So basically, the person who helped reverse the roles of power at that period of time, who helped end the war that was obviously horrible, and I think you can again see here how like the good wins. So it's like the evil was winning at that time, but when Winston was elected, when things basically set into motion for there to be a reversal of power, was the same time Jupiter and Uranus came together. So I think that's very fascinating how these things happen. And so I think that also really goes to show that whatever happens this month is not necessarily going to be an immediate resolution of something. We can feel like we have a breakthrough. We can have this really important piece click into place. But again, we often won't see how that is so significant until we look back on this period of time retroactively and we can see, okay, yeah, that was the moment in time where I made this different choice or I had this new perspective that once I followed that path led me to a completely different reality. That timeline jump, that reversal of roles, that reversal of fortune, and enhanced my life to a really significant degree, or made a really noticeable difference in my life where a chapter was almost turned, but in a positive way, a resolution of something in a positive way. So it's really important right now not to put too much pressure on this period of time of seeing these amazing blessings and results, because those could take time to unfold, but those really important characters or pieces of the puzzle will click in together during this period of time when the Jupiter and Uranus come together in our chart. One other thing I think is important to note is that sometimes we also can't fully understand how significant this is for ourselves, but even more so from other people looking at our own lives. So we might, let me give you an example. So also when Jupiter and Uranus came together in Taurus, during this period of time in May 1941, the world's first programmable automatic computer was invented, which obviously sets the stage for this huge technological boom that we have had later, even more so now with Pluto and Aquarius. I think that's something that we can really get a sense of in this period of time. In April, there's probably going to be some technological advancements, maybe with AI or something else, where that sets the precedent for something much bigger later down the line. But there's going to be people who don't get it when it first comes out. Like when that computer first arrived, maybe there are people who didn't understand the purpose. This was 1941. This is a long time ago. So I don't know what level of technology people were aware of at that time, or what they thought it would be used for, if they even knew it existed. So there's a lot that I feel like could be shifting for us, even as a collective, but in our personal lives as well, where things that we have this guided intuition to do or to follow, it's so outside the box, it's so progressive, it's so ahead of its time that it's more likely to not be well received or to be misunderstood or even just kind of downplayed before it reaches its full pinnacle of success. And then people years from now will see how significant that thing really was. And I think that we can see that also with the example of Winston Churchill. He was elected during that period of time, or he was, moved into office or voted for at that period of time when that conjunction took place. But I don't know if anyone really knew that he was going to be kind of that big turning point in the war, for example, or that really significant player in the ending of a massive cycle of despair and destruction. So we can see how these things set into place now, but aren't always fully understood. So just really keep that in mind. So during these Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions, we can typically expect to have some kind of idea come through for us that we can bring to fruition. And that means that, again, the idea doesn't mean that the whole thing is completed. The results are not always here right away, although sometimes they will be. If you've been having an existing problem, you can come up with really powerful solutions to that problem, and you can have, again, some kind of turning point, especially in concerns with Taurus themed topics. So we're going to talk about that for each sign, because it's going to depend on what house you have Taurus in, the kind of problems or breakthrough or gift or blessing you could have as a result of these downloads or changes that you make in your life. But also, just talking about Taurus themes in general, this is very much related to the material world. This is related to our financial security, the kind of food that we eat, the cattle that we have on this earth, the nature itself, our clothes, our sense of security, our sense of stability, our sense of independence as well, being able to truly be autonomous in every sense of the word, our sense of worth and value and the feeling of what we bring to the table, and our own kind of inner resolution to be consistent or work hard or see things through and have positive results with things. So all of those are very Taurus topics. And so we can see that these this Jupiter Uranus conjunction can have some kind of breakthrough or shift concerning the material world or concerning those things that I just mentioned. One of the things that I think is really important with something like this is that we need to be aware of how impulsive an energy like this can be. So there are lots of benefits to this. This is a time of blessings, of breakthrough, of radical shifts that can really enhance our lives. But also sometimes what happens with the exuberance of Jupiter and the progressive, rebellious nature of Uranus, when they come together, they can sometimes not really see how they have maybe blind faith and optimism in the value of change and revolution, because that can be helpful, yes, of course, but also there can be an element of throwing everything out, the baby out with the bathwater, when there are things that are actually functioning and maybe just need revision, when there's wisdom from the past that we need to carry forward, but instead they're just rooting for what is new and progressive. So we really need to keep our heads kind of balanced and look at things through an unbiased perspective while still having faith and optimism. So can we look at the facts? Can we look at the data while still believing that there is a higher possibility and potential, but not getting so blinded by our faith that we refuse to acknowledge, real issues, or refuse to look at the entire equation and be truthful and honest with ourselves and others. Another aspect of this is that we can sometimes get a little bit overzealous and overcommit ourselves. We can scatter ourselves. We can not really have a necessary focus on this energy, which is interesting because it is in Taurus, which is a fixed earth sign, which tends to be very focused, very kind of committed to a particular vision or habit or way of being, so much so that they can almost have trouble, being too stagnant, or not stagnant necessarily, but like unwilling to change when it's required, unwilling to adapt. So this energy helps shake that up. It helps us adapt. But also, I think that this balance could be helpful because it could help maybe kind of focus these two planets. But that is a little bit of a risk where we might kind of scatter our focus, energy, attention, our money, our resources, and we could come to later regret that. So just being aware that change comes at a cost. Saying yes to something means saying no to something. Looking at the entire picture of things and being willing to listen to yourself with logic. So I think that's super, super important. I think this also has a very creative and imaginative energy, which is something I really love because it helps us tap into our higher mind, our higher consciousness, our higher self, so that we can reinvent or reset or renew something in our life. So this could look like revamping something old or starting something new, but that still reinvigorates us. So there's this energy of something coming back to life, especially in the house that this conjunction is happening in for you. So I think that's all I want to say about the general energy of this conjunction. Let's go ahead and jump into what this is going to look like for all the rising signs. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to comment and like this video, share with your friends so that we can get my channel out there. And I appreciate you guys so much. All right, up next I have Virgo rising. This Jupiter and Uranus conjunction that's happening on the 20th is going to take place in your 9th house. And I love this because the first card that I pulled was the 9 of Wands, and this is happening in your 9th house. So the 9th house is an area of study. It's an area of travel, teaching, and our belief systems, our spiritual beliefs. It's actually my cat is, sorry, he's walking right on top of my fence, so he's like, anyway, that's interesting because of that, being able to see that right now and thinking about the 9th house, and almost like you guys getting this bird's eye view, this higher up perspective. And I feel like with the 9 of Wands, when you're in this card, you're kind of in the trenches. Like you are feeling like you are withstanding, you are pushing through, you are taking it one step at a time, head down, one day at a time. And I'm getting the perspective with the this conjunction happening in your 9th house being about you guys suddenly having the sense of direction and the higher meaning behind this journey. What is the purpose of all of this? What you're really working towards, and having maybe like a larger spiritual and soul mission that can give you this strength to continue forward, even when things are not always so simple, even when things require great amount of personal resilience. And I think you guys have a lot of that resilience, but sometimes you might get myopic in your perspective, which is a very Virgo thing. Sometimes it can have that kind of mouse energy where you can get really caught up in the details and worrying about things and seeing what's right in front of you instead of being able to zoom out and get the higher meaning of things that can give this sense of relief almost and this understanding of this chapter of a larger cycle. And that's why I love astrology, because I think it gives us the gift of these understanding these cycles and where we're at in terms of the larger picture. So I think it's going to give you that zoomed out perspective. And I also see with the Queen of Pentacles, you guys are going to come into a lot of financial prosperity and independence. If you have felt like you've been, again, really in the trenches, working super hard every day, trying to make something happen, I'm seeing something clicking into place and paying off for you in terms of the material world, that effort materializing physically. So if you've been always wanting to buy a house and you've been saving up money, like I see you buying that house. If you've been wanting to, take that big trip abroad or launch that course or do something new with your time and energy, but you've been having to prepare for it somehow, I'm seeing the completion of that. I'm seeing the end result of that, especially if it concerns financial prosperity or creating a bigger financial success for yourself or a bigger name for yourself, especially because the ninth house does have this kind of big energy. It is where Jupiter loves to be. So it's really this energy of growth, expansion, achieving more, doing more, being more, and not just on the physical sense, but on a really deep sense of the spiritual and emotional world. And I think that's the biggest gift of all. Although I do think you'll still have the material follow up with that. I also pulled the King of Wands. So again, I see you guys occupying this kind of like big energy. You got the Queen of Pentacles and King of Wands. I'm seeing you in this really high vibe energy, but also quite stable. You're going from head down in the weeds, working super hard, maybe feeling a little bit drained, even if that work is on yourself. And I'm seeing you come into a place of really a strong internal stability, financial stability, and also starting to grow your energy outward, feeling more creative, feeling more kind of productive, like you can externalize your energy and make things, help people. You're attracting things to you. You're leading people. You're starting to multiply. I'm like literally seeing like cells multiplying because you have enough nutrients and stability within the body to then grow additional aspects of the body. And I think that you are potentially going to come into a phase where you are leading a team with this Three of Pentacles, or you are a part of some important group that is going to change your life, like you joining some kind of existing program. I'm seeing something that you are diving into wholeheartedly, and because of the connections and the people that are already existing within that space, or that you attract to you, I see that as helping you multiply. So it's like they give you more information or they support you in some type of way in your life that helps you continue to grow and spread as a person. So kind of like a spider web, like how it's all interconnected, but it starts to grow and grow on top of itself. I'm seeing that happening for you guys. I also pulled the Seven of Cups. So I think if you guys have lacked clarity, and I think this kind of goes with the Nine of Wands in a way, if you have lacked clarity on something in your life, I feel like you are gaining that clarity back. The ninth house is a prophetic, intuitive, very much connected to God, to spirit house. And so if you have been really confused and having so many options, I'm seeing you get a little bit of clarity and making a choice, or being able to narrow down your path, being able to understand something again, because you're zooming out so far but you're also naturally good at zooming in. So you're able to tap into the details. You're able to see things that are relevant for you in your internal world, but then you're also able to zoom out to see this 10 years from now, 5 years from now, how this interconnects to that. And as a result, you're able to understand the best possible path for you, the best possible choices for you, narrow down your options, feel more committed to those options. And I think also if you're starting to kind of sprout out more energy and these cells are multiplying and you're creating more in the world, you're multiplying your energy out in the world, I do think more and more opportunities are going to come to you. So I think it's going to be important to stay tapped into this energy, because this decision-making process is not done. It's probably just beginning, really, which is kind of exciting to think about, but it's also can be overwhelming if you are not really grounded down into yourself. So I pulled the card, there is something better. So there might be something currently in your life that with the Seven of Cups energy, you have not wanted to look at with full clarity, or you have idealized, or you have been confused about, but it's almost like, because with this card, it's almost like you're not wanting to face the reality that there's maybe something better for you. So if you are currently confused about something, it might be because you're trying to hold on to something the way that it is when there's actually a better option out there. That's one message. There's something better can also describe that you are kind of seeing your future in one way. Like, okay, my life's going to go this way. This is where I'm headed. This is what I want. But actually, you're going to find that things might turn out differently than you expected, but it's actually going to be better than you expected. So the message is the same, to not hold on to things exactly as they are, but be willing and open to have things become flexible, moldable, and change as you start to change as a person. I'm also pulling the Beauty card and the Time card. So I'm really getting the sense that there's two messages here. With the Beauty card, I feel like you guys are maybe more focused right now, or one of the blessings that you can get is that you are becoming like physically more attractive. Maybe you are doing something with your hair, or with your skin, or with your sleep, or with your emotional processing, but there's something about your energy that is radiating from the inside out that's becoming quite literally more beautiful and more attractive. And so I think that's going to be something that helps magnetize new opportunities and people to you, to help, again, collect the people and resources that you need with that Three of Pentacles, and then multiply even more. I also see the Time card. So I feel like this is really telling you that some of these things might take some time to unfold, and it's important to kind of flow with this process of time, trust the process of time, the divine timing of this, and not resist if things are trying to be birthed, for example, and they're trying to be changed, and you feel it a little bit, but you're like resisting it. Don't resist it. Allow the natural flow of time. And when you feel something like, okay, this is the right time, when you feel it intuitively, when you feel called to it, act in that moment. Don't resist time. Don't hesitate. Don't delay, because we have North Node in Aries. This is about moving forward quickly. But then also on top of that, we also don't want to rush things either. So it's like having that right pacing of listening to your internal clock. The emotional, intuitive decision-making process is very finely tuned and is available for you, especially with this conjunction being the ninth house. You are more psychically open, so you're able to receive more of these downloads and information about what the right timing is. So flow with that when it arises. Don't resist, don't procrastinate, don't delay, and don't rush. That's super, super important. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. If that resonates, I can't wait to hear your comments down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Before you hop off, my new channel name is going to be Cosmic Clarity Astrology, so make sure you save that name. So if you want to look me up, find my videos, I'm rebranding. I'll probably have some new thumbnails coming up soon once people get a sense of the new name change and still recognize my videos, and I'll probably change up the thumbnail. So really be on the lookout for things to start changing. My website has changed. If you're like, oh, I don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe to my email list, because I also send out emails with all these videos and extra information that's helpful about astrology. So if you want to see that, then you can subscribe in the description box down below, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.